Okay, so let's talk about that feeling. You know the one I mean? That that sense of emotional deja vu.
Mm-hmm.
Not like seeing a place twice, but finding yourself, I don't know, emotionally in the same room, the same kind of weather again and again.
Yes, that internal landscape feeling suddenly very familiar.
Exactly. And you swear, you absolutely swear, you learned the lesson last time, you were done with that dynamic, or you promised yourself, never again will I feel that specific kind of smallness, you know?
Right.
And then bam, there you are, walking down that same emotional hallway you thought you'd bricked up years ago.
It's that instant reaction, isn't it? That tightening in your chest or your stomach.
Yes, that
Your
not.
body knows, even if the details look new job, new partner, whatever your system recognizes the underlying pattern, it's bracing itself.
Bracing for the familiar pain, not for something new. That's it.
It's preparing for the scene it knows best, not really adapting.
And your rational brain is just screaming, why? Like, why do I keep doing this? You try so hard to change, you read the self-help books, you talk it out.
You make resolutions.
You make the resolutions, and still, you end up stuck in the same place. It makes you feel, I don't know, fundamentally broken, like there's a hidden self-destruct button.
Well, that feeling, that sense of being pulled back, that's actually crucial.
Okay.
What you're describing, that's the heart of what psychoanalysis calls the Wiederholungswang.
Wiederholungswang, okay.
The compulsion to repeat. And this is really vital for you listening to grasp. This isn't some kind of moral failing on your part. It's not bad luck.
It feels like bad luck, then.
It absolutely can, but it's a compulsion, a powerful inner drive that pulls us, often indirectly, back towards the exact shape of our earliest unresolved wounds.
So it wants us to go back. Back to the partner who leaves, or the silence that feels crushing, or the situation that makes us feel small.
It insists on it, yes. It's seeking something.
Okay, so that's what we're diving into today. Trying to figure out how to stop seeing this pattern as just a glitch, a mistake we keep making.
Exactly. It's not a glitch. Think of it more like an encrypted message. Urgent.
A message, okay, I like that. Like an entry point.
Precisely. An entry point into what we could call the dimly lit theater of your unconscious.
Yeah.
Where these scenes keep playing out.
Not because they're broken, but because they're unfinished.
Definitively unfinished. So the mission for you listening isn't to fight the repetition itself. That's exhausting.
Okay.
It's to start learning its language. The pattern is speaking. It's the voice of the deepest, often the most wounded part of you.
And it shows up in tiny ways too, doesn't it? It's not always the big stuff.
Oh, absolutely. It's pervasive.
Like that tiny flinch when someone raises their voice, even if they're just laughing.
Yes. Or that immediate urge to say sorry before you even know if you did anything wrong.
Oh, I do that, yeah.
Yeah.
Or feeling drawn consistently to people who are just unavailable, emotionally distant.
Those are the echoes.
Yeah.
Those subtle bodily reactions, those attractions, they're the compulsion speaking. They're signs of an old story looking for a way to be heard, maybe even resolved.
A trauma, looking for a stage. Wow. So let's dig into this first big idea then, this framework shift. Repetition isn't failure, it's fidelity, loyalty. That sounds counterintuitive.
It does initially, but think about the unconscious mind. It's deeply, well, conservative isn't quite the right word politically, but psychologically conservative. Meaning it's not fundamentally driven by a search for happiness or fulfillment, not in the way we consciously think about it. Its primary drive is towards familiarity.
Familiarity, even if what's familiar is bad.
Especially if it's bad in some ways. If your earliest understanding, your first map of what love feels like or what safety means was formed amidst chaos or neglect or having to earn approval, then your psyche remains fiercely loyal to that specific map. It will unconsciously steer you towards situations that recreate that feeling.
Why would it do that? That sounds like self-sabotage.
Because the known pain, paradoxically, often feels less terrifying to the unconscious than the complete unknown of stable, secure connection. If you've never known it, it's uncharted territory.
Wow. Okay, so the compulsion to repeat is like going home, psychologically, even if home was a place that hurt.
That's a powerful way to put it. It's safe because it's known.
Okay.
And this leads to a really useful metaphor. Repetition as a kind of deep archaeology.
Archaeology, okay.
We often feel like we're just digging in circles, right? Making the same mistake, having the same fight over and over.
Totally frustrating.
But the psychoanalytic view suggests you're not digging in circles. You're actually spiraling inward. Each repetition, each time the pattern shows up.
It's getting closer to something.
Exactly. It's not just a rerun. It's potentially a closer look, a deeper dig towards the original site.
So every time it happens, it's like the shovel hitting something hard underground.
Yeah. Precisely. The shovel striking the earth above a buried chamber. The pattern's function, its unconscious purpose, is to guide you back to that original scene, that foundational moment.
The one that was just too much back then.
Too much, too fast, too confusing, too lonely, maybe too full of shame. The child's system couldn't process it, couldn't digest it emotionally.
So it got stored away.
Preserved, perfectly intact deep down. And the only way to actually process it now as an adult is to allow it to resurface, often through these repetitions.
Okay, let's really try and picture that formative moment. That image you mentioned. The child.
Yes, the image of the small child, maybe barefoot on cold kitchen linoleum, standing outside a closed door.
And behind the door.
Raised voices, and maybe arguing. It's confusing, threatening, but indistinct. The threat is auditory, environmental.
And the child can't do anything, can't fight, can't run away.
Exactly. They can't fight, they can't flee. So what do? They freeze, they hold their breath, maybe make themselves small, invisible.
That freeze, that's the survival response.
It is the initial necessary survival response. And right there in that frozen state, that's when the blueprint gets etched. Not logically, but deep in the body and the nervous system.
The conclusions drawn are like, love is scary, being quiet keeps me safe, my needs are trouble, something like that.
Precisely those kinds of core beliefs. Love is dangerous, it can vanish. Safety means silence, don't make waves. To be wanted, I have to be invisible or perfectly compliant.
And then as adults, we just live by those rules without even knowing it.
We spend our lives trying to honor those unconscious safety protocols, tiptoeing around conflicts, swallowing our words, maybe even feeling a strange sense of relief when we're overlooked because being seen feels dangerous.
And we think we're being rational making choices.
When really we're just executing survival strategies written decades ago on that cold floor. It really is a kind of fidelity. Loyalty to that first map.
Wow.
And this brings us to Freud's crucial distinction between just remembering something and actively reenacting it.
Okay, what's the difference there?
Remembering trauma is like telling a story about the past. It happened then. But reenactment, that's different. You're not just remembering it, you are living it now, in the present moment, as if no time has passed at all.
So the past isn't just influencing the present, it's actually bursting into it through our actions.
Yes. It forces its way in through behavior, through feelings, through relationship dynamics, and not just through memory.
What does that look like? Can you give some examples?
Well, think about the woman who genuinely longs for a stable partnership, but finds herself repeatedly drawn to men who are unavailable, emotionally distant, maybe physically absent, always leaving.
Mirroring someone from her past, like a parent.
Often, yes. Mirroring the pattern of a caregiver who vanished, emotionally or literally. Or consider the man who's incredibly capable, gets right to the brink of major success, a promotion, a big project. And then somehow things fall apart. A mistake, bad timing, a sudden conflict. He sabotages it, awfully unconsciously, proving right some old internalized message about not being worthy of success.
Or even physically, right? Like freezing up during a presentation.
Absolutely. The student who blanks out in an exam hall. The person whose hands start shaking uncontrollably when they need to speak up in a meeting. That's the body remembering. It's a full somatic echo of the original helplessness, the feeling of being silenced or overwhelmed.
The unconscious is like a movie director staging these replays.
A masterful director, staging it with incredible accuracy. But the purpose isn't to punish you. It's to draw your attention urgently to the unresolved scene.
So the repetition is like a whisper.
Whispering or sometimes shouting, "Hey, you didn't finish this. You survived it back then, sure, but you never processed the feelings, the shame, the anger, the grief. Come back.
Try again now.
Try again now with the resources you have as an adult." The goal shifts. It moves from just surviving the moment, which the child did by freezing or complying,
To actually understanding it, integrating it.
exactly. Understanding and integration, that's the potential hidden within the repetition.
Okay, this is making sense, but it's heavy stuff. So if the repetition is the signal, let's unpack the machinery behind it, the silent architects building this loop. You mentioned 5 mechanisms.
Yes, 5 core psychoanalytic mechanisms that help us understand how this architecture gets built and maintained. We have to start with the foundation, repression.
Right. Which isn't just forgetting, you said.
No, it's far more active than that. Think of it as the psyche's first major act of self-protection, maybe self-erasure in a way.
How so?
When a feeling intense fear, deep shame, maybe pure rage is just too overwhelming for the child's developing ego to handle, to metabolize.
It gets pushed away.
Banished, walled off, buried under layers of I'm fine, wasn't that bad, I'm over it. But here's the crucial point. Repression isn't deletion. The feeling isn't gone.
It's just exiled.
Exactly, exiled, sent to live in the unconscious.
And things in exile tend to want to come back.
They absolutely do. And because they were exiled, they hold a tremendous amount of energy. But they don't come back clearly. If they did, we could maybe deal with them.
So how do they return?
Disguised as maybe free-floating anxiety, where you feel anxious but don't know why. Or as obsessive thoughts or behaviors, or very commonly as physical symptoms.
Physical. Like what?
Chronic back pain from carrying unspoken burdens, migraines fueled by swallowed anger, panic attacks in public spaces that might actually be masking a deep, repressed humiliation from childhood. Repression doesn't make the feeling disappear. It just ensures it stays potent and unprocessed, ready to get triggered.
Okay, so repression bottles it up inside. But the outside world keeps happening. How does the psyche keep the lid on when something out there triggers that buried feeling? Is that where projection comes in?
Precisely. Projection is like the psyche's clever outsourcing system. It's how we take feelings or traits that we find unbearable in ourselves.
Like feeling unworthy, maybe?
Exactly. Feeling unworthy, inadequate, maybe feeling angry or critical, things we can't consciously own, and we unconsciously assign them to other people.
So I don't feel unworthy, you're rejecting me, or my boss is unfairly critical.
That's the mechanism. I don't feel my own hostility. Instead, I perceive the world or specific people as hostile towards me. My partner isn't loving enough. My friend is judgmental.
So we end up fighting shadows, fighting the wrong battle outside ourselves.
Constantly. Because the real issue, the unprocessed feeling, remains safely tucked away inside. But the feeling itself, the tension, the judgment, the fear gets projected onto the external world.
Which guarantees the loop continues because we never address the real source.
It ensures the repetition. We leave the job thinking the boss was the problem. We end the relationship thinking the partner was the issue. Projection keeps the core wound protected, unexamined, and therefore unhealed. We're fighting ghosts we created.
Okay, then there's resistance. This is where things get tricky, right? When you start getting close to the truth.
Yes. Resistance is like the guard at the gate of that buried chamber we talked about. It kicks in precisely when we get close to uncovering the repressed material.
How does it show up?
Maybe a dream feels too real, too revealing, or a comment from someone hits a nerve. Or you simply recognize, with dawning horror, oh no, I'm doing it again.
And then what happens?
The psyche pushes back, hard. Suddenly you have a million reasons why therapy isn't working, or why now isn't a good time to look at this stuff. You minimize the pain, it wasn't that bad. You rationalize the pattern, it's just who I am. You might cancel appointments, change the subject, feel an overwhelming urge to just move on.
But wait, how do you know if it's real resistance, like my psyche protecting itself, versus just me being tired or lazy or genuinely having other priorities? That feels like a blurry line.
It can feel blurry, absolutely. But psychological resistance often has a specific quality. It feels urgent, highly rationalized. There's a sudden flood of very convincing arguments about why looking deeper is a bad idea right now.
Ah, okay. It's not just apathy, it's an active pushback.
Exactly. It's not a character flaw. Think of it as the ego's immune system. It evolved to protect you from feelings that felt genuinely shattering when you were younger, more vulnerable.
So we shouldn't just try to bulldoze through it.
No, that often makes it stronger. The key is to approach it with respect, to listen to its protective voice, acknowledge it. Okay, I hear you. Thanks for trying to keep me safe for so long. But maybe I'm strong enough to look now.
Treating it like an ally, not an enemy.
Becoming an ally to your own history, yes. And that leads us to the mechanism that can actually be incredibly helpful in therapy, but also shows up in life. Transference.
Transference, I've heard that term. It's about putting old feelings onto new people, right?
Essentially, yes. It's the unconscious redirection of feelings and attitudes originally experienced in relation to significant childhood figures, parents, siblings, onto people in your present life.
Especially people who are important now, like partners, bosses, therapists.
Exactly. People in positions of care, authority, or intimacy are prime targets for transference. It's not just a conscious thought like, my boss reminds me of my dad. It's deeper.
It's the feelings from the past erupting.
It is the past erupting into the present, fully charged. In the moment of transference, you might not be reacting to your actual partner. You might be reacting to your critical mother or your distant father as if they were standing right there.
The old dynamic gets replayed with the new person.
Precisely. The desperate need for approval, the simmering rage at being ignored, the fear of abandonment, all those old feelings get attached to the current person.
Okay, but why is that useful? It sounds messy.
It is messy, but it's also an incredible opportunity. Transference is the unconscious basically saying, look, right here, now, with this person who is hopefully safer than the original figure, you finally have a chance.
A chance to.
To feel the feelings you couldn't feel then, to say the words you couldn't say, to experience the dynamic but this time perhaps respond differently. Maybe finally express the anger, mourn the neglect, stand up for yourself in a way the child couldn't.
So it brings the unfinished business right into the room, ready to be worked on.
It gives the repetition a stage, a place where it can potentially be understood and transformed. It allows us to hopefully finish what was started emotionally decades later, but with our adult strength.
Okay, that makes sense. And the last one, libido, which isn't just about sex, you're saying.
No, not in this broader psychoanalytic sense. Freud used libido to mean the fundamental life force, the energy of desire, attachment, connection, seeking, your basic drive towards life and relationship.
Okay, how does that tie into repetition?
This is key to understanding why it's so hard to just choose differently. When our earliest attachments, our first experiences of seeking connection with that libidinal energy were difficult, ruptured.
Like if love was inconsistent or conditional.
Exactly. When love was intermittent, withholding, conditional, or maybe even scary, that life force, that libido, doesn't just easily detach and find a healthy object. It often fixates,
like gets stuck.
It gets stuck. It becomes loyal, not to what will bring future happiness or fulfillment, but loyal to the shape of the original wound.
Wow. Loyal to the wound itself.
Yes. So if your earliest map taught you that love means chasing someone unavailable, or that intimacy inevitably leads to being hurt or abandoned,
then your libido, your desire energy, will be drawn to people and situations that replicate that.
magnetically drawn. Stable, kind, available people might feel boring, unexciting, maybe even vaguely threatening, because they don't fit the familiar pattern your system is primed for.
So the desire itself is aimed at repeating the pain, not finding relief.
The desire is aimed at the familiar structure, the unavailable partner, the job where you're overlooked, the dynamic that creates that old ache of yearning that feels like love or excitement on an unconscious level because it matches the original blueprint.
That explains why just telling someone choose better or just move on is so useless.
Completely useless. You can't simply will your libido to detach from its earliest imprint. You have to understand that loyalty, grieve the original lack, mourn the love you didn't get.
Before you can genuinely redirect that energy towards something healthier.
Yeah, exactly. You have to mourn the fantasy of the original connection before you can truly embrace the reality of a different available connection now.
Okay, wow. These mechanisms. They really paint a picture of how deeply ingrained these patterns are. So now, how do we work with this? How do we go from being stuck in the pattern to actually learning from it? This feels like the really crucial part.
It is. This is where we shift from just identifying the loop to becoming an interpreter, a witness. And that story you mentioned about the woman E and her dream is a really powerful illustration of this shift.
Right. The dream where she was always searching for a room she couldn't find. For decades.
For decades, a repetitive dream mirroring a repetitive life pattern. The search itself was the symptom, the repetition.
And we know her background. The elegant, accomplished mother who was emotionally just not there. Present but absent. Praising achievements but missing the child's inner world.
That quiet kind of devastation, not overt abuse, but a profound lack of seeing, of emotional attunement.
So E keeps having this frustrating dream, searching, until something clicks, right? A memory surfaces.
Yes, a memory she'd always dismissed as unimportant, the memory of the fort.
Tell that story again. It feels important because it's so quiet.
She was 6 years old. She built this amazing fort in the living room. Blankets, chairs, the whole deal. Felt incredibly proud and safe inside it. She called her mother over to see it.
And the mother.
The mother came, glanced at it briefly, said something like, "Oh, that's nice, dear, don't make a mess," and went right back to her reading, didn't engage, didn't see the child's pride or need for connection.
And E just stayed in the fort.
Sat there, alone, waiting for her mother to notice, to come back, to maybe ask about it, waiting to be missed. No one even realized she was in there until dinner time, and when she told the story later, she'd kind of laugh it off, minimize it, Silly childhood thing.
But connecting with that feeling, the quiet, crushing loneliness of being unseen in that fort, that was the key, wasn't it?
It cracked the code. Because the trauma wasn't a big, loud event. It was the drip, drip, drip of being invisible, emotionally abandoned while physically present.
And then the dream changed.
That very night, she dreams of the house again. But this time, she's not frantically searching. She just finds the room. It's small, warm, lit by a lamp, just as she'd imagined.
And inside?
Inside, there's a child, 6 years old, sitting on the floor, waiting. Quietly, patiently waiting, alone.
And E woke up.
Woke up sobbing because she realized the dream wasn't about the search anymore. It was about the waiting. The repetition wasn't the fruitless hunt. It was the reenactment of that 6-year-old's frozen, hopeful, lonely vigil in the fort.
The pattern shifted from being a prison, endless search to becoming a portal. It showed her who was stuck.
Exactly. And that moment of recognition, that shift from judging the feeling, this dream is so frustrating, to simply witnessing the child within the feeling, there she is, still waiting. That is the beginning of real healing.
That's the working through you mentioned. Durcharbeit.
Yes. That's the slow, often painful process of metabolizing that old, undigested experience. It's not usually one big aha moment, though that can happen. It's more about patiently sitting with the feeling, understanding its roots, and gradually integrating it, mourning the original loss.
So the goal isn't necessarily to make the feeling go away or change the past.
No, you can't change the past. The goal is to be able to enter that past scene, that old feeling, but to enter it as the adult you are now.
The strong, compassionate adult who can be there for the child you were then.
Exactly. You become the witness the child never had. And when that scene, that feeling, is finally witnessed with compassion, the compulsion to repeat it often loses its grip. We move from trying to fix or rescue the child to actually embodying them.
Embodying them.
Allowing those frozen feelings, the rage, the grief, the terror that the child can handle, to finally be felt safely within the container of your adult self, letting them move through you without overwhelming you.
This really reframes the symptom, doesn't it? It's not sickness. It's like a language. Poetry, even.
It absolutely is. We have to stop trying to fix ourselves and start trying to translate ourselves. The unconscious doesn't speak in clear, declarative sentences.
It doesn't say, I feel deep grief over my mother's emotional absence and it makes me feel lonely.
No, it can't say that directly. Instead, it shows the feeling. It says, I keep picking partners who ignore me, guaranteeing the feeling of loneliness. Or, my throat closes up when I need to ask for something important, showing the old fear of expressing needs.
The anxiety attack is the translation. The repetitive pattern is the lesson. We need to listen to what it's literally showing us.
Honor the truth of the symptom. And the end result of this work, this patient translation and integration, isn't necessarily arriving at some state of perfect peace or closure.
No. What is it then?
It's about developing presence, the capacity to stand in the midst of that old, familiar emotional storm, the surge of panic, the wave of shame, the urge to run or numb out, and to just be with it.
To hold it without being swept away.
To hold it, to feel it without acting compulsively on it. The real transformation is embodiment, integrating that lost child part back into your whole self. It's not about transcending the pain, floating above it. You have to stand in it to redeem it.
Wow. Okay. So thinking about the listener now, navigating their own life, maybe recognizing some of these patterns, how do we bring this home?
When that familiar feeling washes over you, that knot in the stomach, that urge to repeat the old pattern, the first step is to remember the frame shift.
I'm not repeating because I'm broken.
You're repeating because you are, in a deep way, being faithful.
Faithful to?
Faithful to the child you had to be to survive. Faithful to the parts of yourself you had to wall off because they felt too dangerous back then. The pattern isn't your enemy. It's your most loyal messenger, calling you back to finish something important.
So when it shows up, that urge to apologize when you did nothing wrong, or the magnetic pull towards the person you know will hurt you, or that freeze before you take a risk?
Don't curse it. Don't label it a failure or a relapse. Just try to see it as a reunion.
A reunion?
Okay, approach it with curiosity. Instead of fighting it, slow down. Ask it questions gently. Okay, you're here again. What are you trying to show me this time?
What feeling needs attention right now?
Which unmet need from way back then is screaming through this urge? Who is this pattern trying to protect or perhaps rescue?
Because that child, the one in the fort, the one on the cold floor, the one who learned to be silent, They aren't really in the past, are they?
Not at all. They are a living, breathing, often trembling part of who you are right now, waiting not to be fixed, not to be judged or gotten rid of.
Waiting to be included, seen, held.
Exactly. To be finally fully included in your life as it is today. And maybe the final thought to leave you with, something to really mull over, is this. You'll likely never completely get over your past. And maybe you don't need to.
So what then?
The task isn't erasure, it's redemption. Your past isn't just a collection of wounds. It's a fundamental layer of who you are, waiting to be integrated, understood, redeemed. The repetition keeps bringing you back to the door behind which that abandoned part of you waits.
But I'm not that helpless child anymore.
Precisely. You're not 6 years old and powerless now. You're the adult. You hold the key to that door. The invitation is simply to turn the handle yourself.